There's been a lot of talk about replacing an existing power plant in Redondo Beach with a new natural gas-fired power plant. This short video provides a brief review of the facts concerning a new plant. Since the late 1800s, a power plant has stood on this 50-acre waterfront location. The current owner, AES, has proposed to remove the old plant and replace it with a state-of-the-art plant. A plant that would be smaller, shorter, and cleaner. It would occupy just 25% of the property, and the height would be reduced by nearly one-half. The quieter, more efficient plant will meet increasing energy demand, ensure a local reliable source of electricity for the South Bay, and free up 38 acres of waterfront property for reuses like open space and recreation. The new plant will help California meet our renewable energy goal of having 33% of our energy provided by renewable resources by 2020. The new plant can be powered up in just a few minutes, only a fraction of the nearly 24 hours it takes to start the current plant. The plant will help meet demand for electricity when the wind is not blowing or when the sun is not shining, providing a consistent, dependable supply of electricity, and enabling the use of renewable sources like wind and solar. It will also be a state-of-the-art natural gas plant, meaning it's cleaner. We use natural gas to heat our homes and cook in our kitchens because it's clean burning, efficient, and inexpensive. For power plants, the use of that same natural gas is strictly regulated and monitored by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the California Air Resources Board, and in Redondo Beach by the South Coast Air Quality Management District. In fact, natural gas power plants are so clean, only 1% of all air emissions in the Los Angeles basin come from them, according to the AQMD and the California Air Resources Board. In contrast, transportation-related sources like our cars and trucks make up 90% of air emissions. The remaining 9% comes from other sources like refineries, manufacturing plants, and businesses. Today's existing plant has a capacity to produce 1310 megawatts. Based on this, the maximum particulate matter emissions annually permitted by the AQMD is 209 tons. The existing plant produces an average of just 5% of the 1310 megawatt capacity, enough electricity to power about 95,000 homes each year. If we estimate the emissions from the existing plant operating at 5% annual capacity and using the EPA's emission factor, it would equal 25.6 tons of emissions each year. But when emissions are actually measured instead of estimated, the existing plant emits just 4.3 tons of emissions, well below the EPA and AQMD 209-ton maximum allowable limit. The proposed new smaller plant is designed as a 496 megawatt plant. The new plant will be subject to a maximum allowable limit of only 49.7 tons annually. That's less than 1/4 of what the existing plant is allowed today. The proposed plant is estimated to operate at about 20% capacity, able to generate enough electricity annually to power about 145,000 homes. At 20% capacity, the turbine manufacturer for the new plant guarantees emissions of 12.7 tons annually. When the new plant emissions are actually measured, it's expected to yield about 4.8 tons of emissions. This is well below the EPA and AQMD limit of 49.7 tons and nearly equal to the current plant emissions of 4.3 tons. How can this be true? Because the new modern plant operating at 20% capacity will burn roughly the same amount of fuel as a much bigger, less efficient existing plant operating at just 5% capacity. So with virtually the same amount of emissions as the existing plant, the new plant will produce 50% more electricity, enough for an additional 50,000 homes each year, and utilizing about the same amount of natural gas. In other words, the new plant will emit fewer pounds of emissions per unit of energy generated. Some have tried to spin this into a negative. That's quite clever. Instead of comparing actual output to actual output with a quick sleight of hand, they compare the current plant's actual output, 4.3 tons annually, to the new plant's 49-ton maximum allowable permit standard. Instead, they should be comparing the existing 4.3 tons annually to the proposed 4.8 tons annually. And remember, the existing plant provides electricity for 95,000 homes annually, and the new plant provides electricity for 145,000 homes annually. The plan for a smaller, cleaner, and more efficient natural gas power plant is now subject to exhaustive review and thorough study by the California Energy Commission and the South Coast Air Quality Management District. This plan provides a clear and financially viable path to remove the existing power plant and forever improve the face of the Redondo Beach waterfront area, making 38 acres available for such uses as recreational, retail, and other mixed-use elements, while still providing clean, reliable, and much-needed energy for the region with a smaller, modern power plant.